Did you know that the national flag of contemporary Cambodia features a picture of Angkor Wat, one of the most magnificent temples in the world? Few nations, including Cambodia, have a picture of a building on their flag, but this Southeast Asian nation seems naturally inclined to do so. Their connection to Angkor is fundamental to their sense of national identity and is both their legacy and birthright. Angkor served as the capital of the Khmer Empire between the 9th and 15th centuries. The Khmer Empire, also referred to as the Empire of Angkor, was not an empire in the sense of the word today. It hardly qualifies as a kingdom in modern parlance. It is a name used to distinguish the prosperous Khmer civilization from earlier eras in Cambodian history that flourished between the 9th and 15th centuries. The kings occupied the absolute top of society in the intricate Khmer Empire. The populace engaged in warfare with the surrounding tribes, farmed rice on their property, worked the soil, and built the impressive temple and monument complexes. The Khmer Empire was a place of monarchs and slaves, Hindus and Buddhists, customs and cutting-edge technology. The Khmer people of the Angkorian Empire were contradictory, to be sure. Let's begin by discussing the individual who started Angkor Wat's building in the 12th century before moving on to the temple itself. Late 11th century Cambodia experienced continual upheaval and a struggle for control. Three kings concurrently asserted their absolute control at various points. After a time of chaos, disintegration, and internal uprisings, Suryavarman II, the ruler who would later lay the foundations of Angkor Wat, came to power. China and Suryavarman became diplomatic allies. In 1116, the first embassy was dispatched to the court of the Song, where the specifics of their trading relations were addressed. Only 1 year was spent in China, although two further envoys were dispatched in 1120 and 1128. The Cambodian king was a notable Chinese vassal, according to one of the Chinese writings. The Chinese convinced Suryavarman to wage war against Vietnam and Kampa. It's unclear, though, if Suryavarman ever saw himself as a vassal of the Song dynasty. After all, it is no secret that the Chinese emperors believed they had control over the entire world. He sent over 20,000 men to attack the Vietnamese kingdom of Dai Viet in 1128. After losing, Suryavarman had to flee for his life. His attempts in 1132 and 1145 after that were unsuccessful as well. In 1150, Suryavarman made one final effort. He lost and was forced to take his captured army back to Cambodia. Despite the fact that these excursions were mainly fruitless and the amount of territory he won was negligible, they did succeed in bringing new people under his authority, who he would use as a labor force for his magnificent construction endeavors. Because Suryavarman II did not want to be linked with his immediate predecessors, he turned to Vishnu and replaced Shiva as the supreme deity. In northeastern Thailand, the king constructed some of the most magnificent temples, including Phai Mai and Phanom Rung. He was moved by his devotion to Vishnu to build Angkor Wat, the biggest and most magnificent temple in all of Cambodia. However, Angkor Wat was more than a simple temple. It served as a memorial, a grave, and an observatory. It draws more than 2.6 million visitors annually, making it one of the most popular destinations in the world today. Hindu Shaivism is broken by Angkor Wat, which was constructed in the 12th century as a monument and tomb to King Suryavarman II. The temple was constructed in an unusual way, going against all the conventions of Khmer culture. Or at least that is how it appeared to the foolish Western intellectuals who attempted to decipher its complexities. Because it is a representation of Vaishnavism, Angkor Wat bears testament to the new religious philosophy of the Khmer culture. Suryavarman II's rule appears to have marked a turning point for the entire Khmer Empire. The largest temple in the world, Angkor Wat, is situated on 162.6 hectares of land. Although King Suryavarman II started building it in the 12th century, it wasn't finished during his reign. The now-lost statue of Vishnu that served as the temple's centerpiece was built in July 1131. According to scholars, this took place on the king's 33rd birthday, which has special cosmic significance in Hinduism because there are 33 Vedic deities. Under the southern tower, the statue was discovered. As long as Buddhists are still using the temple, it was most likely brought outside by them. There are no other temples like Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and it is shrouded in mystery. In contrast to the other temples, which are all oriented toward the east, its doors face west. This distinction likely exists because Vishnu, who is frequently linked to the west, was the original deity to whom Angkor Wat was originally. Due to the east's association with Shiva, the previous national deity of Cambodia, all other temples are east-facing. And one would have to start traveling counterclockwise, starting from the northwest corner of the temple, in order to follow the bas-relief that extends more than a mile around the temple's outside walls. When it comes to reading the bas-reliefs, every other temple adopts a clockwise orientation, which keeps the relief on the viewer's right side at all times. Even in Sanskrit, this practice is referred to as pradakshina. Some academics contend that the main purpose of Angkor Wat was to serve as a tomb because the word for the West in modern usage also means to sink or to drown. The idea that Angkor Wat's orientation toward the West might have something to do with Vishnu rather than death was initially put out by French researcher Georges Coeds. He did not, however, rule out the possibility that it was a tomb, as it does have a number of objects that could have served as sarcophagi. Due to the fact that the foundation stele was never discovered, Angkor Wat's original name is unclear. It is particularly strange that no contemporary Cambodian inscriptions make any mention of this temple. The phrase Temple City or the City of Temples is what its current name, Angkor Wat, implies. Given that the temple was devoted to Vishnu and King Suryavarman II, some academics speculate that the previous name may have been Var Vishnulok or Vra Vishnulok. Parama Vishnaloka, which translates to the king who has gone to the supreme universe of Vishnu, was the king's posthumous moniker. Scholars did not begin to thoroughly study Angkor Wat until the 1980s. World War II, the Cambodian Civil War, and the Khmer Rouge, who cut off the temple from the outside world, are to blame for this delay. But those who were granted access returned with pictures and descriptions, giving researchers and experts a glimpse into Cambodia's mysteries. Using Angkor Wat images that already existed, Eleanor Menikov began her investigation on the temple's size in the middle of the 1970s. She came to the conclusion that these numbers represent the 4 yugas, or ages, of the planet. Satya Yuga, the first yuga in the cycle, is the era of perfect peace during which the gods rule over humanity. There are 1,728,000 years in it. The second one is the Treta Yuga, which lasts for 1,296,000 years and is when the 3 avatars of Vishnu would be seen. The third yuga, known as the Dvapara Yuga, or era of compassion and truthfulness, is the longest at 864,000 years. Kali Yuga, the fourth and last era, is characterized by strife and disputes. The name of the demon Kali was given to this era in reference to the final yuga. There are 432,000 years in it. According to Hinduism, the current era is known as the Kali Yuga. Once it's through, the cycle will repeat, the world as we know it will be destroyed, then rebuilt into a new golden age. The distance between the main entrance and the Vishnu statue in the center corresponds to the Yuga cycle and the stages that one must, symbolically, pass through in life. Traveling the other way along the west-east axis is equivalent to going back in time because it is believed that the dead walk in the west. Thus, in Hinduism, one would be getting close to the Golden Age. Assume a watcher is stationed at the western gate on the morning of the summer solstice. If such is the case, Suryavarman II's name, which means protected by the sun, will be intriguing to observe because it will rise precisely above the temple's central tower. Modern astronomers have also discovered an intriguing fact. On any other day, the sunrise would have lined up with the axis between the western entrance and the tiny hill Panambak to the northeast. The splendor and architecture of Angkor Wat have been compared by modern experts to those of classical Greece or Rome. Sandstone was the common building material in the 12th century, and sandstone blocks were used to construct the entire temple. Scholars are still curious about the binding for the blocks because it is unknown what they used. Others suggest natural resins, while some believe slaked lime was used. The temple's lotus bud-shaped towers, ogival half-galleries, and wide hallways are typical of Khmer architecture. Above what was once a metropolis, Angkor Wat is elevated on a platform. 3 galleries rise from it to the main tower. Every level builds upon the one before it, and they may have even been made in honor of the king, the moon, and Vishnu. However, garlands, devatas, and bas-reliefs that depict narrative sequences serve as the temple's primary decorative components. Unfortunately, a lot of these components were destroyed by looters or during the civil conflicts in Cambodia. The Ramayana and Mahabharata are represented on the inner wall of the outer gallery. Both the Battle of Kurukshetra and the Battle of Lanka are on display in the Western Gallery. In contrast, the Southern Gallery wall depicts a historical event, the procession of Suryavarman II, followed by the Hindu belief in 32 hells and 37 heavens. One of the most well-known sceneries, the Samudra Manthan, or the churning of the Milk Sea, may be seen in the Eastern Gallery. In this scene, Vishnu commands 88 Devas and 92 Asuras to churn the water using the body of the serpent king Vasuki. The Khmer Empire had lost its luster by the 15th century. Depending on the religious beliefs of the kings who took over the Angkor throne, the empire would convert from Hinduism to Buddhism. Several ceremonies and activities of Angkor were described in writing by Zhou Daguan, a Chinese emissary there in the 13th century. The details of what happened to Angkor between Zhou's visit and Chan, a king who repaired some ancient structures between the 1550s and 1560s, are unclear. Significant changes in the Angkor economy, language, foreign relations, and social structure occurred in the centuries between. Angkor Wat was restored in 1986 and 1992, and it is currently undertaking a number of rehabilitation projects, but it is primarily a tourist destination. The location, which was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1992, is safeguarded by the government of Cambodia. Every day of the year in 2018, the temple welcomed 7,300 visitors for a grand total of 2.6 million. Fortunately, other than a few instances of graffiti, there are no instances of tourists defacing the location. The Cambodian government made an investment in ropes and wooden stairs to cover the incredibly steep stone steps in order to maintain the temple. About 28% of ticket sales are set aside for temple upkeep. At least 5 visitors are discovered taking naked photos on the grounds of Angkor Wat every year, and they are instantly expelled from Cambodia for violating the moral standards of this Buddhist nation. How would you like to learn more about history, amaze your friends, and make more accurate predictions about the future using the past? Check out the other videos if this sounds like something you could enjoy. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more like it.